Is there any question? Right? This is hey, wait a minute. I had another slide in there of my own family, but it's gone. So okay. So this is a subject that besides supporting my wife in raising my 4 children, I now am entering a new dimension of investigating this very topic. The importance of the experience of growing in love through family relationships. When children are born, when babies are born, are they loving? Are babies born loving? You might say yes, because when you see a baby, you feel so much, ooh, so cute, coochie, ooh. But in fact, when a baby's born, what is the baby thinking about? It's almost like an instinctive animal, just about eating, and believe me, it's like a pooping machine. And I've been busy. You know? No, in fact, actually, when babies are born, you don't see a baby come out of the womb and say, Mom, are you okay? Did it hurt? Can I get you something? And you say, well, Reverend Shankar, a baby can't speak. But if a brand new baby could articulate what's inside its thinking and feeling, what would it be saying? I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm crabby, I'm cold, you're ugly, where is this? What's going on? Right? You scare me. Right? Did you know that developmental psychologists recognize now that when babies are born, they have no concept of other. They think everything is me. Now, if you think everything is you, can you get more self-centered than that? That's like the ultimate. It's all me, baby. And they theorize that the beginning of recognizing other is in the mother-child bond. And that's one of the reasons why every baby born on earth has a certain focal length that's frozen for the first, 6 or 8 weeks. Babies can't focus, right? They kind of are like this. Yeah. And you say, hello, and they go. Their focal length is frozen. And did you know that every baby born on the planet, black, white, red, yellow, or brown, has the same factory setting? The focal length of their eye is the distance between mother's breast and mother's face. That's the first experience of reality, is seeing the loving, nurturing, caring caregiver there. There's a million more things I could say about the gestational period and the care of parents and the uniqueness of the human experience. But basically, we begin our life completely living for myself. And then as we develop and mature, we learn to live for others. Our world expands, and as our world expands, our capacity of heart expands to embrace it. That's really the experience. First, there's the experience of children's love, which I'll explain in a second. How many of you remember when your house was like your whole world? Can you remember back to that time? I certainly can. Well, all the places behind the garage, all the little places you had around your home and how you lived, and then your neighborhood became your reality. And how, as your world expands, also your awareness and consciousness. As a child, as a sibling, learning to love and cooperate with others, learning to love one person faithfully and consistently, and then learning to love unconditionally. Can you see the step-by-step development here? The process of developing our heart in the family, and then ultimately the club that I just joined together with some of you. It's a whole different dimension, a whole different sense and feeling that goes deeper actually in some ways than parental love. This is the process of life. The first stage of children's love is where we gain our identity and value. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, you can't love others unless you love yourself. Have you heard people say that? You can't love others unless you love yourself? So then you think, oh, I got to love myself. Okay, let me love myself. Let me be good to myself. Let me take care of myself. Is that what makes you feel self-worth and love? Taking care of yourself? No. Actually, in order for us to feel our own value and identity, it's in the love of parents. It's in the love of God as manifested in our life through parents. But without that foundation, then there's what? There's insecurity, there's darkness. We all know this. There's fears in myself. Then we compare ourselves to other people. We feel insecure. We're not confident to make new friends. We worry what people think of us. You know what I'm talking about, right? So originally, in the love of parents, we should find our own value and identity and creativity and fulfillment. Then on that foundation, we learn to give back. We learn not just to receive love, but we learn to give love. First, we want to give back to parents. It's a natural thing. Kids come home from school. Mom, I made this for you in school. And you take it and you go, oh, it's beautiful. My God, it's lovely. What is it? Right? And it's brown and green and black and orange and it's all like this. And he goes, it's a sailboat. Can't you see it? But however weird it looks, where does it go? Refrigerator in America. That's where it goes. All over the world, parents have a place for those things. Because that's your child loving you back. I'll never forget a friend of mine who said he remembers when he used to feed his baby, he will never forget the first time when he was giving grapes to his little baby. And the baby took the grapes, and for the first time the baby was going, and then the baby went like this. Right? But then, as we learn to give back to parents, we then start harmonizing with our siblings. How many of you have siblings? How many of you love your brothers and sisters? How many of you have ever wanted to kill your brothers and sisters? Right? So, sibling relationships don't start like that. It looks a little bit more like this. And in practice, it's a little bit more like this. Right? It almost proves Darwin, survival of the oldest. Thank you. And I don't know if you're like me, but some of my older children are carrying the burden of guilt of how they abused their younger siblings when they were young, right? Yeah. And it's a rivalry and difficult, you know. Kids don't start out saying, hey, you ride shotgun, please. I want to sit in the back on the hump. That's my favorite spot. Oh, I'd love to have the smaller piece of cake. Give my brother the bigger piece. Or, Mom, it's time for dinner? Okay, let me come in and help you set up dinner. Let my brother stay out and play. Keep playing. Is that how it goes? No, it's completely the opposite, right? Why? You know. But guess what? If there is benevolent, if there's unified parents and a consistent benevolent standard and love and care, then the relationship between children harmonizes. It goes from competition and abuse to negotiation and compromise. From negotiation and compromise to cooperation and support. And pretty soon you have your siblings back. And when children are bonded together, you know, might not have been your family experience. But believe me, for any parent, when you know, sometimes I'm almost jealous. My kids are closer to each other than they are to me. But even when they used it to play me, when they were protecting each other and trying to get around I still was inspired by their oneness with each other. And God is no different. He wants to see us love one another. I think the scriptures, I know the scriptures say over and over again, how can you say you love God if you can't love the person right next to you? How can you love God whom you can't see if you can't love your brother who's in your life and in your experience? So that's the path. And just as children's love, that first realm of the heart, is the foundation for our self-worth and our capacity to love others, sibling relationships are the foundation for all healthy social relationships. And then we develop the capacity, the desire to develop an exclusive relationship. This is universal. This is all over the world. I know the current generation is confused and we're unclear about how to realize true love, but the love songs still say the same things. Even when people go out on a Friday night and jump into bed after dancing with someone and they say, I love you, they still don't say, I love you for this week. When we think we're in love, we think it should last because that's the love we strive for and that we seek. And that's a much higher, greater, more challenging aspect of love, to be able to focus my love on one person and to have it go deeper and to discover new dimensions of that love year after year, decade after decade. It's not all deep, it's up and down, it's all kinds of things. But conjugal love, is where we learn and develop the capacity to commit. We create something unique. No one ever loved like you and I love. Romeo and Juliet never loved. It's also a facet I'm experiencing in my life once again. That experience of the uniqueness and exclusivity and creating something that's special and profound. And in that uniqueness and commitment and exclusivity is when sexuality has its most beautiful and meaningful expression. Otherwise, sex can hurt and be abusive and painful and lead to struggle and suffering and difficulties. That's the historical reality. But this is the process of developing this capacity of love. And guess what? Also, sexuality is designed to graduate us to become parents. And then we're in the position to love unconditionally, which is the love that's most like God's love. I'm going to wrap up. So the family is designed by God. In conclusion, based on all of these things, let me take a moment to reflect with you on the purpose of life. Are you okay? Any questions about what we've talked about? And again, this is the longest presentation that we'll have today, so give me another 7 minutes, and we'll be done. Okay. You'd better have a seat. People tend to fall down the mountain when I tell them the purpose of life. Let's just reflect on it a little bit. You know, it's a very important question. Why am I here? Who has the right to answer that question? Well, I can figure it out myself if I caused myself to be here. If I'm the one who decided to exist, then it's completely up to me. But if someone else made me, there might be some reason why they made me. What do you think? So it's not just because, well, we have to find out, we have to be faithful to God and we have to go to church. No. If I was made for something, I better figure that out or I could waste my life. Somebody made a violin, right? Somebody crafted it and designed it. And the greatest violins that have been aged and prepared and invested in sweat over and have been works of love can cost millions. But if you don't know what the purpose of a violin is, you could use it for firewood. Or you could use it as a doorstop. You could. Likewise, if you don't know why we are here, you could also waste your life. You could think it's all about gathering material wealth. You could think it's all about, survival. Many people take their life or waste their life or get addicted or have no sense of who they are and where they're going. Now, a great violin in the hands of Yehudi Menuhin or I was trying to think of another, but it just slipped my mind. Jascha Heifetz, thank you, can make us weep, can move hearts, can transcend cultures and reach people everywhere. Likewise, it's important for us to understand life has purpose and direction. It's not meaningless. It's not accidental. There's a reason we're here. So the real question we have to ask, and this is where I want to conclude with you, the real question we have to ask is not, why am I here and how do I want to live my life? But why did God make me? What's the purpose of my creation? Right? Who decides the purpose of the pen? Remember we talked about the pen? Can the pen decide its own purpose? I think I'd like to be a ski instructor in Colorado or a surf bum. No, you can't do it. The pen was made with a purpose. And likewise, to understand the value of our life, it's important to consider why God created. And here's the simple conclusion. Joy. Let me prove it to you. Okay? Let me take you through a couple of exercises and prove it to you. Tell me what's your favorite thing in life. What's something you enjoy? Tell me an activity or a pastime, something you really enjoy. Go ahead, just give me a few examples. Somebody said fishing? I'm with you, man. Freshwater or saltwater? Don't care, both of them. Good. Anything else? What else? Who else?
Dance.
Sorry?
Dance.
Dancing? I'm with you too, man. Yeah, I like this group.
Swimming.
Swimming. There you go. I swim 6 times a week. You guys are my kind of people. What else? What else do you like?
Play soccer.
Play soccer. Who else? Okay.
Diving.
Good food.
Diving.
Diving. Lovely. Diving. Somebody says eating. Okay, let a few other people answer. That's good. Thank you for helping me. What else? Tennis.
Volleyball.
Volleyball. Who likes reading?
Frisbee.
Who likes playing with their grandkids?
Music.
Crochet. Who has good friends? Who cherishes friendships in their life? Okay? Now, you're going to keep answering and answering favorite things. I don't think anybody's going to stand up and say, I like going into a closet and staying there by myself for 3 weeks. Because joy and happiness come from being stimulated through relationships, through give and take. Even when you like solitude. I love solitude. I love reflection, but in nature where I can be stimulated, it's more inspiring. Or when I reflect on experiences and learning and realizations. Joy comes about through reciprocal relationship. Right? And it's no different for the Creator. No different for the Creator. In other words, if God's essence is love, then why would God need to create? Does God need money? No. All material He's the owner of all material. Does God need power? No. I don't think so. Almighty. Does God need knowledge? Not if He's omniscient. But you know, if God is a God of love, love requires what?
Somebody else.
To experience being God, to experience love, requires a relationship. So I don't want to be so presumptuous as to tell you why God created, but logically, the only thing that God couldn't experience without an other, without a creation, without a children, without an object that could see and feel and think and respond and weep and pray and care and be responsible, is to be able to experience being the God of love by having an object to love. Let me take you through another exercise real quick. Let's say we were going to lock you in this room for a year. Okay? You're going to be here all by yourself for a year. Now we're going to feed you. We're going to send food in. You know, but you got to stay here for a year, and you can only take, and you can use the bathroom. Don't get weird on me. Okay? You're going to be alone in a room. You're going to be alone in a room for a year, and you could take one thing with you. What would you take? Somebody said their spouse. Somebody said that's the last thing. What would you take? Okay, let me give you a choice. If I gave you a choice between a rock and a plant, which would you choose? Why the rock? No, go ahead. Why the rock?
Because the plant's just going to die.
But if the plant could be fed and you have food, you know. Usually, the only people who would say rock would be a geologist. One young man about your age, one time he said, I would choose the rock and I'd break my way out of that room. Normally we... And how was I going to use that gift? So how can we become people to bring joy to our Heavenly Parent? I'll conclude with this. There's only 3 aspects of our experience. Only 3 aspects of reality. There's the world within me, my thoughts, my feelings within me. There's the world, social world, the world of relationship with other people. And then there's the environment around you. That's all you're going to experience in your life. There's what goes on inside your head, your mind, your heart, inside you. Then there's relationships, and then there's the environment. Is there anything else? Anything else? Not that we're aware of. Maybe a spiritual environment later. We'll talk about that. So, harmonizing those 3 will bring joy to God. Let me show you what I mean. Harmony within me goes back to that 4-position foundation. Bringing my mind and body into harmony to become a mature person. How do we become that mature person? When my thoughts are connected to goodness and love and meaning and value. When my words reflect those good thoughts. When my actions are consistent with my words. When I become that kind of a person of maturity, integrity, character, and conscience. Maturity is about self-control. consistency in how I live. Integrity is about the consistency between what I say and what I do. To become a person of character that can be sensitive to the voice of my own conscience. Do you think this kind of person would give joy to the Creator? This is the first purpose, the first thing we can do as an individual. And that's where we begin. It was author of Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, said, "I thought I could change the world, but I came to realize that the only thing I can be sure of changing is myself." And Aristotle said, "He who would move the world, let him first move himself." And that's where I'm going to conclude at the end of the day as well. Jesus put it this way: "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." But the word Jesus used in Greek, in the first translation, in telos, means mature and complete. Mature yourself. Fulfill your potential. Be complete. Develop all the potential that God has given you to reflect His nature. And some people do that through spiritual pursuits or service, doing good things for others. The second thing then is to harmonize the world of people. And that starts in the family. The love between man and woman, creating a harmonious family. Such God-centered families are the basis of harmonious societies, healthy communities, strong nations, and a peaceful world. It's a building block, and it starts here. You can't change the world unless we can reach nations. We can't affect nations unless we can reach communities. And the key to making good communities is starting in the family. And that's what Faith Fusion and the unification movement is all about. Starting from the family. And finally, such healthy, loving, good people can then have a harmonious relationship with nature. Being conscious and aware, not using resources for our own personal gain. I think it's a Native American saying that we don't bequeath. We don't inherit the world from our ancestors. We borrow it from our descendants. How we live right now is going to impact generations in the future. How we care for the planet. Our capacity to grow and create food, and we grow enough food to feed every single mouth. Yet 22,000 children die every day from malnutrition. 22,000 a day. Our capacity to use technology to make a better quality of life, not just for a privileged few, but eventually should be for everyone, shouldn't it? Shouldn't everyone have that opportunity? Which do you think the Creator would want? For just you and me to monopolize everything? Or do you think a parent would love all of their children equally? Our creativity, an expression of passion and power in music and art and culture and so many things. Our ability to be materially successful and to have ownership and to care for and develop the environment around us. And as I said before, our loving relationship with nature. I conclude with this. How many times have I said I conclude? I'm such a liar. When God blessed our ancestors, according to the scriptures, He blessed them and said, "Be fruitful, like a tree grows to maturity, to bear fruit." That's the first one. That's that individual maturity I'm talking about. Then multiply. That doesn't just mean make bodies, it means make families. And then have dominion over the environment. It's exactly what I've said. That's not just the directions to some, man and woman at the beginning of history. That's the meaning of being on earth. How you do it is your own unique way. We're not all the same. But the fundamentals are to become mature and develop my potential, to engage in loving relationships so I can grow my heart to be a loving person, to pass my love down through generations, through a family, and then to find my unique place in the world to express myself in service and love. Those are the three great blessings in the principle. To be fruitful, to multiply, and to have dominion. What we didn't cover today, what the principle of creation, some other topics are how do we grow spiritually? And what does it mean to take responsibility? What's the relationship between freedom and responsibility and destiny? You know, is our life destined? And what's the relationship between that and our responsibility? Where are we going? Where are we bound? Is there life after death? And if so, what is heaven? What is hell? And how the universe came about. These are some of the topics that are deeper in this same section that we didn't cover today. Also, what is the original human nature?